This is the Making Stitches podcast, and this week we hear from a friend of mine, music and crochet teacher Marisa Alcock.
I love the teaching side of things as well as my own making things. I find that I'm a very patient person. I'm a music teacher, so I teach children. I have to be patient with them, but I'm a very patient teacher, and you have to be, because otherwise it's really not very nice. And I've actually had people saying to me what a wonderful experience it was, because their previous experience of crochet lessons had ended up in tears, and the teacher being really horrible and shouting at them and saying, "You're not teachable," and all this sort of thing. It's quite incredible that adults can actually behave in that way.
Hello and welcome to episode 5 of Making Stitches. I'm Lindsay, and this week I had the pleasure of speaking to a friend of mine, Marisa Alcock. Marisa and I met online through Instagram a few years back and then went on to meet in person. What brought us together was crochet and Gibraltar. Marisa is a Gibraltarian music teacher who lives in London. She's also incredibly gifted as a craftswoman too. In the words of my grandma, she has very clever hands. On one of her visits to Gibraltar to visit family and friends, we met up and Marisa taught me how to decipher crochet symbols during a wonderful summer's evening eating tapas in Catalan Bay on the Mediterranean east side of Gibraltar. It was as idyllic as it sounds. Crochet, wine, gambas pill, and waves lapping on the beach next door. When I told Marisa about my new podcast project, she agreed to speak to me straight away. When I spoke to her, she'd just finished an online lockdown needlework lesson. She's been teaching some of her music students sewing as well to engage them creatively on another level during this time of isolation. Slow stitching was the theme of that day's lesson. First of all, I asked her about her childhood here in Gibraltar during the time of the frontier closure, when Gibraltar was cut off from Spain by General Franco's decision to close Gibraltar's only land border.
Gibraltar, when I was little, was obviously the border was shut when I was about 2 or 3 years old. So for us, Gibraltar was what we'd lived with, and it was tiny. It's 6.25 miles right the way round. And we didn't know anything else, We had cinemas, and we drove around with our parents, and went up the rock and had picnics. And in the winter, we just didn't really do very much. It was chucking it. We never had snow, but when the rain came, you knew it. And my father was an artist, and my mum worked in my father's shops. We had an artist materials shop, and we had a furniture shop, interior design shop, and both my parents were so creative. I wanted to be like them, and as a parent as well, the type of parent that they were to us, making things together, all the lovely cakes, and my mother would sew and crochet, and I learnt so much from them, and like all the crafting things. I would go to my father's atelier, as you say, workshop, and it was the most exciting place with all the different paints and gold leaf. And he even showed me how to use a real gold leaf, with the size and all the different artifacts that you have to use to use it. So I suppose it was in my blood, really, on both sides of my family. And I just brought it home to my own family. And my first craft wasn't really crochet, funnily, even though my mother only crocheted all the time, and we were dressed head to toe in crochet. My first proper craft as a young adult was cross stitch, and the typical samplers. But I didn't just want to buy kits, so I had loads of thread and loads of material, and I'd make my own things up. And I don't think I started crocheting as such until my youngest was 2. So that's about 14 years ago. Yeah, that's when I kind of just picked it up and made lots of mistakes. So I never knew about the turning chain or anything like that. I don't know how I learned that. I can't remember now.
But now you teach.
I do. I love it. I love the teaching side of things as well as my own making things. I find that I'm a very patient person. I mean, I'm a music teacher, so I teach children. I have to be patient with them, but I'm a very patient teacher, and you have to be, because otherwise it's really not very nice. And I've actually had people saying to me what a wonderful experience it was, because their previous experience of crochet lessons had ended up in tears, and the teacher being really horrible and shouting at them and saying, "You're not teachable," and all this sort of thing. It's quite incredible that adults can actually behave in that way. It's really horrible.
Goodness me.
Yeah,
absolutely.
Yeah.
Well, I can vouch for your teaching technique, Marisa. Do you remember when you taught me how to read a crochet pattern with the symbols rather than written in the terrace at the Sea Wave in Catalan Bay one summer evening?
Looking at it
that with the light from our phone torches.
From our phone torches, because it got dark with our lovely kids.
Yes, and tapas. It was wonderful. It was a great evening with the waves crashing behind us.
Absolutely, my favourite place. Yes, that was funny. So we did, was it the South Bay? Yeah, South Bay shawl, which is such a lovely, simple pattern. Yes, and that's the one that I teach the reading of patterns. Yeah, the symbols. That's how my mother learned, just through symbols. That's how she learned how to crochet. She used to make it up, and she was never really taught. She saw somebody and said, "Oh, I want to do that." And that's how she learned. She was self-taught. But I love the patterns because I'm very visual. It felt like oh yes, everybody says that. Yeah.
Until you explained it to me, and then it made perfect sense. But for years, I'd avoided patterns like the plague, because I just thought, this is just complete gobbledygook. Really? I've no idea what it is.
And it makes so much sense, doesn't it? Because sometimes when I'm reading, I'd rather have both. I keep referring back to that visual pattern. I love it. I love the charts. Yeah.
Yes, they're super. Mad. So you're Mariwish on Instagram, aren't you? And you have the most beautiful feed, full of beautiful colours and fabulous projects.
Thank you so much. I don't know whether people knew, but about 6-8 months ago, I had to stop crocheting because I actually got something called tenosynovitis. And I'd first got this illness on my hand when Lucia was a baby. And apparently it's quite common for young mothers to get it because you're kind of pushing prams and twisting your wrists. But obviously mine got even worse because I was crocheting with t-shirt yarn. I think that's the hardest one. So you'll notice that my feed actually had to change a little bit, and I realised that I could actually go back to my love of embroidery because I had a really cool holder for my hoop. So I had free hands, and it was wonderful. So I can't not do anything. I'm always on the go with something. So that was really, really helpful to be able to do that. And all I needed was rest, and then I did actually end up having a cortisone injection in my wrist. And touch wood, it's a lot better.
That's good. Yeah. It must have been so difficult not to be able to actually do the crochet. I can remember seeing your feed when you'd had operations and you were all strapped up, and I just really felt for you. It must have been torture, really.
Yeah, it was horrible. I mean, the thought of not crocheting, and my children were really good. They kept saying, "No, Mom, no, stop it, put it down," But luckily, I was able to do something else. But it was torture not to crochet. It was just really mad. Something that I do every day. Too many hours.
How's lockdown been for you?
Wonderful. I know that it sounds awful to say, but I've loved it. I mean, I've loved the fact that I'm with my family all day and my doggy, And luckily, I have been able to teach my piano, so I've had a little bit of income. Obviously, I can't do all my students, and not everybody was happy with doing lessons on Zoom. But I mean, the crafting, it's been bliss. I caught up with lots of things. I've managed to finish some projects, start new ones, and I've loved it. Absolutely loved it. So bad.
It has been the perfect opportunity to catch up on all those whips, hasn't it?
Those
the things that you keep putting away for another day. Well, finally that day has come, hasn't it?
It's come, absolutely, absolutely. The problem is there's so many lovely things out there that you just want to do everything. And sometimes, like very, very recently, I found, in fact, it was only last week, Essie Birdies. I don't know whether you follow her, Esther. She's had some lovely patterns, but sometimes something just grabs you and you have to do it straight away. And I hadn't even put the phone down. I was out there getting... The story was really lovely. It was a Miss You shawl, and I had 2 friends that were ill. And I left everything. I put everything to one side, and I just got on with this shawl, and I made one, and I'm on to my second one now, because it was just such a lovely story. But there's just so many amazing designers out there that you can pick up patterns and crack on. And I'm just spoiled. We're spoiled for choice. Spoiled for choice. And I'd love to design my own, but I kind of have this kind of feeling that, you know, I don't want to say too much, but sometimes you see patterns and you think, hang on, that is just a granny square, or that is just a granny square shawl. And, you know, nothing's really been invented. So I'm almost putting myself down by thinking, well, that's only a basic thing that somebody else has done, and I've done it in a different colorway with a different edging. And you think, I can't really call it a pattern of my own, but I think I just need to go past that thinking and say, actually, I can put a pattern together. Like, actually, I wrote a pattern for a bag not so long ago, and I posted it on my stories. It was a
Yes, I
t-shirt
remember
yarn
seeing
bag.
that.
Yes. Actually, that was one of the projects that was an unfinished whip that I made ages ago. In fact, it was November. I made it, and I'd ordered the leather straps, and I really wanted the little metal screws to make it look really gorgeous. So everything arrived, but by then I was onto something else. So it just got left. And I thought, right, this is the moment. I'm going to finish it. And I received so much love for that bag that I thought, well, I'm going to write the pattern up. And so I know I can do it. It's just having that confidence of believing that somebody will want one of my patterns. But maybe that's the space to watch. Yes.
I shall watch with interest, definitely, because that bag was truly beautiful. Really, really lovely.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Now, you mentioned when we first started talking, before we were recording the interview, that you'd just come off a craft class because you were running a cross-stitch class for young people. Yes. Tell me a little bit about that.
So the main school that I teach piano in, they have a whole range of after-school clubs. And some of the parents, knowing that I was very crafty, kept saying, oh, please, please, ask if you can run a craft club. So I did, and it's one of the most popular clubs at school. And we even have a waiting list for it, which is just wonderful, because I don't just give them the Baker Ross packages of things that are ready and plastic things and cardboard things. We do the proper thing. We go from scratch, and I teach them art, and I'll teach them embroidery, and we'd even done glass decoupage and a little bit of gilding, and the parents absolutely love it because they come home with something that is tangible, and it's not just going to be shoved in a drawer or the bin, you know. So whilst I'm missing that on lockdown, I thought I really want to give something back to all the lovely parents who have supported me and kept going with the piano lessons. So I started a little craft club on a Friday afternoon. And we've been going for 4 weeks now. And it's mainly past and present students of mine. And I don't charge anything because I just love it. I love teaching and I love the craft. So to me, it's just giving me a bit of extra time doing something that I really love and spending some time with wonderful families that I teach. So the first couple of weeks we did slow stitching, and actually, I don't know why, but I haven't posted my creation yet, and I absolutely love it. So maybe this will be the spur to show you on Instagram what I actually made. So I told the girls to collect threads, embroidery thread, even regular sewing thread, and lots of different bits of materials. It could be any little scraps, it could be coordinated or not. And all we were going to do was start making patches and attaching patches with lovely long running threads, running stitches. And they absolutely loved it. It was really calm, and all these lovely girls on my Zoom screen just really taking their time stitching. And it was so popular. With the following week carried on, we talked about what they could make with these pieces with their creations. Some of them decided to make them into little zip bags. Some of them attached it to the front of a canvas bag. I actually made like a little roll. I've got some really cute little scissors, but they're very, very sharp. So I made them into a roll, and I've got a little bit of felt where, like a needle case, but it's got a space for the scissors as well. And then I decorated the outside, and I just loved doing it. So then last week we decided to start actual stitches. So I prepared some notes for them, which I WhatsApped in preparation for the classes. And then I made a couple of little videos as well. So just kind of like 2 or 3 minute videos on how to place the materials so that we'd be ready for the classes. And we've just been going through little stitches and again, putting the designs together. So the designs are absolutely theirs. I've given them the stitches that we're doing, and then they can put them together. So I gave them an example of what I've done and what I'm going to do with the material. So this week we've done wagon wheel flowers, which were really beautiful, and they're so impressive and not that difficult, and they all coped brilliantly. And then we made some leaves doing satin stitch. And they coped really, really well as well. So that was fantastic. And they're looking forward to more embroidery next week. So
I bet they are.
Then I think we might go on to some painting. It's all about using stuff that we've got at home. Actually, some of the girls didn't have hoops, so I just drove around and dropped them off for them. We're all quite local, so it worked. And it was really lovely for them to be able to get on with it as well. And the parents are really appreciating it as well. So I'm thoroughly enjoying myself. Yeah.
Yeah. I think it's so important to engage young people with crafts. It was at school that I learned cross stitch embroidery for the first time. I mean, my mum and my gran, they both had done embroidery when they were younger, and my gran crocheted and knitted, and it was her who taught me. But in school, that's when I really engaged with it. When you're sitting with other young people who are, if you have a teacher who captures your imagination, it stays with you for life.
Well, I think you were very lucky, because I can't remember doing embroidery at school. I did do sewing, but of course, because I already sewed a little bit with my mother, I think I probably finished the items more. And I'll never forget, I actually made myself a dress, which I wore. I'll never forget it, actually. It was a crossover dress, and it was really complicated, but that's the pattern I'd fancied. And in Gibraltar, there's the flower show, the annual flower show. They still have it, don't they?
They do, indeed,
and they have the children's sections, and I love plants. I think if I hadn't been a musician, I would have been a botanist or an artist. And I used to enter that competition, and one particular year I won 3 prizes, so I got an overall cup as well. And I wore my dress. I was so proud of it. And I was about 14, and I'd won these prizes, and I was in the Gibraltar Chronicle, wearing my dress. Yeah, that was lovely.
Oh, that's wonderful. Oh, well, you had better success with dressmaking at school than I did. I made one top, and I've made the facing round the neckline. I didn't realise that I was supposed to cut it on the bias, so it never laid flat.
So it never lay flat, yeah.
No, so I finished dressmaking at the age of 14 and didn't start again until I was in my 40s.
But at least you started
It put me
again.
off so much.
Yeah. No, I never stopped, really. I made ball gowns when I was in the Navy, and then when I met my husband, I was wearing a particular dress, and when he proposed, I said, right, I know exactly what dress I'm going to make myself for my wedding dress. And it was the dress that I'd met him, that I was wearing when I met him, but in a bridal pattern and material. And I remember going to Liberty's with him and picking up this kind of, I think we spent about £300. I mean, we've been married now 26, it'll be 27 years this summer. And coming out with a Liberty bag of kind of 2D material. And he said, "Are you sure you can do this?" Like making a 3D concoction. And for us, £300 then was a lot of money.
Absolutely.
Don't worry, I can do it. And it was just wonderful, a fantastic thing to be able to do. And then with leftover material, I made Louisa's, my first daughter's baptism dress. So lovely.
Oh, how lovely.
And they all wore it. Yeah. Very lucky to have had parents. I really do think it was all up to them, making me have a love for crafts. Yeah, definitely.
My thanks to Marisa for having a chat with me for Making Stitches in amongst all her teaching commitments. If you'd like to see some of Marisa's work, you can find her on Instagram as Mariwish. She uploaded a short video about her slow stitching project she was working on with her music students in Lockdown Craft Club. She made a very pretty needle and scissors case. Aren't her students so lucky to have those weekly craft classes to look forward to? And thank you for listening to Making Stitches. It's been a great first month for this little project of mine. I've had a lot of positive feedback so far, which has been a real pleasure to hear. Thank you to everyone who's taken the time to do that. If you've enjoyed listening to this episode of Making Stitches, please share it with your friends. And if you don't want to miss the next episode, please consider subscribing to Making Stitches on your favourite podcast app. It costs nothing to subscribe, it's simply a matter of clicking, and the next episode will appear when it goes online. My name's Lindsay, and this podcast was edited and recorded by me. You can also find me on my blog, Postcard from Gibraltar. Thanks so much for listening, and until next time, keep safe and enjoy your crafting.